Hi there, I'm Xenocide, and this is Manga Murder, where we offend fanboys and girls one opinion at a time.
Yeah, we're gonna be killing some manga today, boy! Woo!
Neato. Oh yeah, that disembodied voice is the editor.
Hello, mortals.
Anywho, in case you couldn't figure it out from the title of this is the first episode in the series where we take a look at what's wrong with the manga industry. And as our first target, we're going to be looking at Volume 1 of Chibi Vampire.
Ta-da!
It is basically a cheesy romance revolving around one character being human and the other being a vampire that, oddly enough, came out 2 years before the first Wretched Twilight novel, yet much like Stephanie Meyer's masturbatory fantasy,
Bitch!
Chibi vampires, of course, aimed at young females. I'd wager within the 14 to 16-year-old girl demographic. So anyway, it's about a young girl who strives to be an average, everyday teenager and live a normal life. But wouldn't you know it, poor Karin finds out how hard it is to be normal when you are a vampire. Except she can walk around in daylight, she has a heartbeat, and is generally pretty normal. Oh, but there really is conflict in this series. Guess what happens to her once every 28 days? No, really. Guess.
Her back!
Yep, you just saw that. When we take our first dive into the center of the ship pie, you open up the book and the first page is just odd. I mean, there's this vaguely pornographic feel to it. It almost looks like the opening of a hentai, and I half expect tentacles to be disrobing her in the next panel. But fortunately, that doesn't happen. No, the next few pages just stick to more subtle forms of violation, though you will feel just as dirty when you finally reach the last page. A couple of pages in, we see our main character Karin is waking up, and she huddles over grabbing her stomach and says, and then without explaining it, simply continues on introducing the main character without explaining why, and the straight up hell you are reading about a girl having her period in a manga that's supposed to be about fucking vampires. But it wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't presented as being an important plot device. And bear in mind, we know nothing about Karin at this point. It hasn't even been established yet that she's a vampire. All we know based on the American title is that there are vampires in this story somewhere. So, you ask yourself, where are the vampires? Why do you keep talking about her damn period? Are there going to be hungry lesbian vampires that 69 are into one of them or something? But, to distract from the awkward opening, we are immediately struck with some expositive narration from Karin.
My name is Manga Karin. I'm an ordinary high school girl. I'm always alone in the mornings even though we're a family of 5.
And then it just kind of cuts off. And really the last little bit isn't even important information. It's just, okay, good for you. Then the narration cuts off for a page before returning to a point that does not need to be explained.
But one time each month for a whole day. ...
And what happens?
And today's PE.
And come on. Aren't you going to explain? Well, what the fuck is this? Are you really trying to make an idea this stupid suspenseful? Good God. And do you really want us to think she's on her period too? Huh. Wow. This is grade A entertainment.
Great ass.
Here is our other lead role, Kenta Utsui. And isn't he just handsome? What, with that shaded wedge that's supposed to be a nose and features that looks like they've been tacked onto his face like a Mr. Potato Head doll? It's in this scene that the first mildly interesting thing occurs. Karin suddenly collapses, starts foaming at the mouth, and is taken to the hospital where she is pronounced dead. Such a sad thing. No, our luck is not that good. We're only 10 pages in and we still have more garbage to sift through. Karin simply went to the clinic and recovers quickly to return to class. And apparently Kenta's presence is what caused Karin to faint. Interesting, huh?
Sort of.
You want to know why this happens?
I guess.
Do you?
Yes,
Well,
damn it.
Too bad. You don't get to find out for another chapter.
Shit.
So you gotta wade through a bunch of obligatory anime jargon until then.
Fuck.
So sit tight and put on your goggles because we're bobbing for mediocrity and a bucket of piss.
Burn some nipples.
No.
Just a little? Come on, man.
No, what the fuck? What the hell is wrong with you?
Okay, how about you just bite him then, huh?
What the fuck? No! You need help. Serious help, dude.
Stop being a fag and nibble my nipples.
Fuck off!
Queer.
So, returning to the point of this show, I'm not actually going to subject you to all the crap in between. Towards the end of Chapter 1, Kenta bears witness to Karin gnawing on an innocent pedestrian.
so tasty.
Karin's sister Anju shows up and I guess throws a bat at the guy, which makes him get back up after being unconscious. And he appears to be just fine, so whatever. It gets explained later on, although the reason is, well, like everything else in this manga, just dumb. But as much as I hate to admit it, Anju's character concept is actually pretty cool. I mean, she's a little gothic Lolita-looking girl who walks around with a ragdoll named Boogie that's holding a butcher knife, and she makes a talk with a ventriloquism and a badass font that makes you imagine this malicious devil voice coming out of its mouth. Okay, I'll give Chibi Vamp this one prop. But whatever atrocities this character may have redeemed in this manga are quickly doused by the shift of the book's focus on the two bland, uninteresting lead characters. The second chapter finally tells us how vampires work in this world. You know, because it's so original to take an overused mythical being and bastardize it beyond recognition to fit your needs. Amos Meyer?
Bitch!
Anyway, these vampires apparently have favored taste for blood, and the reason that Karin reacts so dramatically to Kenta isn't just because of the fact that he's unbearably attractive, but also because he possesses her favorite blood type. But as it turns out, Karin is not a normal vampire. She's a reverse vampire. She can go out into the sun and is essentially like a normal human, except for her body produces too much blood, and she has to transfer it to others, as opposed to draining it from them. Isn't that interesting?
No.
But really, I'm skipping ahead. The chapter actually opens up by introducing Karin's family, starting with her big booby bitch of a mother, Kara Maka, and her passive pansy pushover father, Henry Maka.
Alliteration raw.
I wish I had a little bit more to say, but that's basically their entire personalities. The mom's a bitch and the dad's a bitch. But I guess that constitutes its colorful characterization in the Japanese mediums of sequential arts. Next, we get some brief exposition about Karin's family background and how her vampire family moved to Japan 200 years ago and that the name Maka was decided upon by her ancestors and yada yada yada. Then we meet her older brother Ran, who is just a typical anime lecherous man whore. Nothing more to report on them. Are you surprised? Didn't think so. So, it's not that one day of the month thing anymore. So on her way to school, she tries to talk to Kenta, but in a hilarious turn of events, she trips over him when we get a nice little scene of him looking under, or is it over, her skirt. Yeah, Karin is a vampire that's over 2 centuries old, but she looks like a 16-year-old.
Pedophilia raw.
Anyway, they share an awkward moment, and then we get a close-up of a god-awful doodles that are supposed to be faces. After that, nothing really happens until we see them again at Karin's job, where it turns out, in another hilarious turn of events, that Kenta has gotten a job at Karin's work. And afterward, to Karin's chagrin, Kenta confronts her with this line.
Dub down your body! Exclamation mark.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. He saw her munching on that guy last chapter, so now he thinks she's a prostitute. And, well, that's what happens. The chapter ends without the issue resolved, and Karin is perceived as a prostitute.
That's fucking stupid.
Chapter 3 begins with some potential foreshadowing as her mom explains more about the whole favored blood thing. Karin thinks to herself that she will eventually drink the blood of the person she likes and... ... The hell is this? Seriously? Okay, saying your character is 200 years old doesn't make it any less creepy when you draw her to look like she's 16.
Mopbacker's young for jailbait.
But I can't get too angry. This chapter drags on with so much unimportant nonsense that I can basically just skip most of it. Sure, there's a passing request by Ren to Anju to wipe Kenta's memory should he figure out her identity, but nothing else really happens. That is until Kenta grabs her arm and we get to see Karin's first adorable nosebleed. Wow. Well, here you are, beloved readers. The focal idea behind this whole manga. A girl that looks cute as bloody waterfalls cascade between her fingers. Fucking lovely. Dear God. Did she really have to work so hard to make it look so thick? This is just disgusting. Ew, no. Don't fucking touch her, man. That's just unsanitary.
She got the AIDS, dog.
Anyway, after this cute event, Chapter 3 ends with Kenta giving her a piggyback ride home and her just running away from him like the silly tart she is. In the next chapter, Karin is too mortified to go back to school and has actually skipped some days.
All that fancy book learning.
She tells her parents of how a human saw her having her nosebleed, and she says she's too mortified to go back to school and tells them she may have to quit. This is the first time we see her father show any evidence of having a pair of testicles. Despite the huge contradiction it is to his character, he screams at Karin,
I forbid that.
I don't know. I guess he's bipolar or something. Damn it. This is boring. I know this is meant for ditzy little girls. I'm aware of that. But in realistic terms, have we been given a single solitary reason to care about Karin or anything that's been going on? Me personally, I've only seen expositive narration and the bare bones of characterization. It's like the author just expects that we'll care about the characters without any motivation, when in actuality
We don't get 200 pounds of goat shit.
Yeah, that's about right. But let me swallow my complaints so we can finish this. Kenta calls, Karin hangs up. Kenta apparently has memorized her voice because he discerns that it is Karin by just a sentence and a scream, so he covers for her not showing up at work. Consequently, Kenta becomes curious as to why she was spurting blood from her nose like a faucet and tries to track down her address when Anju... Yes, indeed. Anju rolls up and plays mind tricks on him like the badass she is, confusing his direction and preventing him from locating their house. And then we cut to Kenta's mom getting sexually assaulted. No, I'm not kidding. No, I'm not exaggerating. Yes, that is exactly what is happening here. Kenta's mom is about to be raped when a man bursts in on them. But before this is resolved, the manga cuts to a random scene of her brother explaining some shit about makes the people he bites feel better, and this makes Karin realize blood sucking is good. And yeah. Anyway, chapter over.
Thank you, Jesus. Hey. Hey, wake up. Wake the fuck up, you pigly son of a bitch.
Yeah, sorry. So, here it is, the last chapter, the Holy Land in terms of bad manga review. Okay, let's see what we got here. So this picks up where her brother was talking, and apparently Kenta's mom is just wandering around the streets. Her brother tempts her to bite her neck and all that jazz, but she's about to walk in front of a train, so Karin just walks up and stops her. The scene then cuts to a coffee shop or diner where Karin sits with her brother across from Kenta's mama. This is where Kenta's mom explains that she was fired because
the store manager had sexually harassed me, and it became well known throughout the store.
Yep, you need to get your act together and stop resisting rape. So then Kenta is walking around the store where he overhears the owner of the store where his mom worked at say she was fired, and really just being an all-around dick. He glares at the guy, which is apparently a big deal because the manager freaks out about it, and then Kenta dashes off to find his mom. Meanwhile, Karin is being pressured to bite Kenta's mom by her brother still, and eventually she gives in, but of course not before Kenta and his mom's lecherous manager are close enough to see. I could say how retarded the odds of this happening are, but it's almost done, so I don't really care at this point. Kenta is rightly confused by the sight, and the manager is just pissed that he can't find a job and blames her. Now, I know I knocked this manga for being boring, stupid, and cliche, but I'll grant it this. Seeing a sexual deviant get viciously punched in the face, in HD no less, by its victim is always entertaining. So, without further ado...
Check it out, bitch!
Let's linger on this a moment. Okay. Rin wipes Kenta's mom's memory, and Kenta walks off confused by the whole situation. When the next day comes, Karin meets Kenta at school, but still can't stand to be around him, so she walks off and yay! Manga over. Well, that's it, people. Chibi Vampire. So how bad is it really? Well, as stated before, the biggest problems I have with this work is that 1. The premise is retarded. 2. The story is bland and mostly unexciting. And 3. The characters are forgettable anime cutouts. Yeah, I said Anju was good, but even she isn't an original concept. The quiet, brooding, gothic Lolita girl has been done before. She isn't something that is exciting because she's an innovative character idea. It's only interesting because the rest of the characters are so boring and underdeveloped. So how bad is this manga? How high on the shit scale is it? Well, it's not the worst. I'd give it 2 nosebleed squirts out of 5. It's sometimes painful to read, but I just can't give it 5 out of 5 on the awful scale when there's much, much worse manga out there. In the end, it's just forgettable. It's not something so bad that will haunt you after you put it down.
You need to put down the donuts.
Fuck you, man. This is Innoside reporting from Manga Murder. Leave your thoughts on how much you hated this review in the comments area below. Dude, I'm not that big anyway. I mean, come on. And, I don't even like donuts. I just work at Krispy Kreme. I mean, come on, dude. That's just below the belt. I mean, that's thinking low for something like that. Fuck you, dude. Just fuck. Cut. Dude.